Good evening, and welcome to another scene in Edessa the Dark Crusade, Season 2. In this scene, we find three individuals gathered around a table in a unused or recently vacated house in the western farmlands that is serving as a headquarters of sort for Gerard and his mercenary army. And three K-Knights are looking between each other with dubious expressions, some looking more bedraggled than others. And eventually, Gerard will say, "So, we've business to discuss." And we'll open the floor to anyone who would like to take it.
Aldrich is casually nursing an entire bottle of wine. He's no time for the cup.
And Selim tossed his mostly destroyed bird mask into a fire, and he just seems to sit almost pensively, rolling his cane between the soles of his boots. In thought, and it'll be a few seconds afterwards that the Merchant of Bones will look at Aldrich.
As this is going on, Gerard will take the floor before anything is said and say, "Well, if no one has anything they wish to bring up, I have some news of recent events. It would appear that there is a shakeup of power in Bira, and Rosalie, the keeper of Elysium in Edessa, elder of Clan Toreador, has decided to stake her fortune there and claim the princedom, with Clan Ventru's help, of course."
Come to rule her own little piece of dirt, I see.
Well, it was a Toreador domain before, and we have graciously gifted it back to the clan as a gesture of goodwill. In return, she has promised to give my name to the prince as her replacement as keeper of Elysium in Edessa, and I had hoped to gain your favor as well in the ear of the prince, Merchant of Bones.
And he quirks a slight brow at that, though not wholly surprised. And he gives a casual glance to Gerard. I've heard that you were keeper one time before, is this correct?
After the Canaanites had repopulated the city from the great disaster that befell before, where all the Canaanites disappeared, I was the first keeper of Elysium under the auspices of Baron Ulrich and the Nosferatu Prince of Jerusalem, whose name escapes the player, but Gerard would remember.
And how exactly was your tenure as keeper of Elysium at that time?
Illustrious. Impeccable. No breaches. And you see what a fine building was crafted under my eye.
I do. And I have.
Although it has since been augmented by Rosalie's more artistic touch. I had felt that as we were speaking before of a possible realignment of mutual clan goals, I have brought the issue before the Ventru, and they seem to be amenable to the idea, and of course, the Tremere will fall in line as well, I would imagine.
Aldrich nods. He seems a bit distant.
It's true. I have a mind to help my clan realize that they have been stagnant for too long. It is the benefit of being the outsider here. Well, not so much the outsider, but more likely the new one. And it's been woefully apparent that they have isolated themselves from the city, though they are very much entrenched here.
I sense hesitance.
I've spoken to my Primogen about what he thought the state of the triumvirate was as it is currently, and he believes, and I can't really fault him for it, but he believes that the prince will see them through, and that the Bruja, although lax as they have been lately, are still worthy companions. And I can't remember if they say anything about the La Sombra. Check.
I can find a thing or two to say about them if you need.
Please go ahead. I have no idea what your opinion is of them.
That was out of character. I'm sorry.
Oh. Sorry. Oh, there you go. I don't know why I didn't remember that. But he has also expressed some worry that the La Sombra have been seeking friends, new ones. So it kind of brought some light to my suspicions, and thus I wish to shake things up a bit. Maybe help redistribute the power before my clan actually loses the princedom.
You think that's a real fear? The prince losing the princedom?
I have a lot of faith in my prince. But with everything going on, with the attack on our domain, these elders coming after him, how the weakened state of Odessa as it is currently, it'll be ripe for the taking. Do you not agree?
That would seem apparent, yes.
So yes, as far as backing you for the keep putting your name to the prince as far as keeper, I have no problem doing that, but I will need something in return. And I'm also quite concerned with the recent goings-ons, or the recent events currently, excuse me, concerning your, well, the magic circle. If I'm
I'm sure tilts his head.
If I'm to try to do this, it is currently a hard sell. depending on what my clan knows. And I'm going to be honest, we have been tracking Johanna for a while. Just because of the nature of her connections to the La Sombra.
Johanna is a known variable. One that I avoid for that very reason, if I can help it. I do not think that she would infringe upon a potential alliance of any sort.
I don't think so either. I think she has her, let's just say, heart in the right place.
I am curious as to what you mean by these goings on of the magic circle.
He looks to Aldrich.
Alder takes another swig of wine, and I'm sorry, but I was a little bit distracted.
What are these goings on with the magic circle?
Goings on, you say? Afraid you'll need to be more specific, my friend.
And he looks to Gerard. What's your nature? What's the relationship you have between Johanna and Aldrich? Nature of it?
I'm sorry.
What is the nature of your relationship with Johanna and Aldrich? Like how good in terms are all of you?
It's an awfully pointed question. I would say that Johanna and I have a strained relationship. Her debts to other clans have put her at odds with me being able to confide in her. Therefore, I do not, and avoid associating with her if at all possible. As for Aldrich, I would say that we have a beneficial working relationship. He has been an invaluable asset to both of our clans, at least insofar as my business is concerned.
Aldrich nods and tips the neck of his bottle ever so slightly and says, as for me, my relationship with Gerard is just as explained. The leadership of the Ventru has been quite efficient. And as for Johanna, well, then he takes a swig of wine.
Well, for the sake of us involved and for truly wanting this alliance, I'm going to be honest. With what I found, what we've encountered tonight with Johanna, and the dealings of the sewers, especially your doing, Aldrich, it makes it quite tough to chew on.
I'm sorry, what business with Johanna and the sewers?
During their expedition into the sewers to search for the tactician and any relevant information, suppose you could call them a party, went down into the Nosferatu sewers, catacombs, what have you. And after navigating some traps, some more perilous than others, there was an encounter with a with a rather large swarm of rats, and some new development of mother rats had some form of communication with the others, much like a swarm of insects, I imagine. But it was most perilous. It would have appeared that several of them nearly perished, and of them, our associate Johanna went into torpor. It was at that moment I made a critical error in judgment. He takes another swig of wine. I breached the Nosferatu domain, thinking myself swift enough to do so unnoticed. However, the time I had extracted her and a Malkavian, curiously enough, I met eyes with their primogen, Aliabawa.
I see. And what of Johanna?
Tonight, there was something of a gathering at her haven. Between the La Sombra, Madeleine, and Irene, along with the Gangrel Thorvald, myself, my friend here, the Merchant of Bones, and Margot of Clan Toreador. Don't believe I'm leaving anyone out? No.
No.
Excellent. So, during this meeting, something quite curious happened, which I believe there may be more insight from the Merchant of Bones. However, on my behalf, blood began to drip from the ceiling onto the floor. It was very rich blood, that of an older Cainite. Very, very old.
As he says, though it was not on material, it was still very plain to see if you had the sight or prone to visions. And from that blood, it popped and sizzled, and the ashes spelled tomorrow, giving off a light. And as much as I've seen from that, though, the neonate Irene of the clan Sombra seemed to experience much more there, much that we did not get to get the answer of, but it was during or shortly after that that Johanna experienced as a possession of sorts.
Of the demonic variety.
She put Madeline through a wall. She put Aldrich here through a wall. And she lashed out with a ring of fire that burned me and the neonate Irene and Madeline, I think. No, who else was in there at that time?
Margot?
No,
Margot.
Margot
No.
left. It was Thorvald, Merchant,
Um,
and Irene.
Oh yeah, he left after that. Okay, yeah. There was a little bit more. There was a little bit of commotion between them, but that's not really important. But that's the meat of it there. In fact, I've picked up Aldrich here in my carriage after leaving Johanna's home after it was being brought down by flame. I'm assuming that's what happened, right?
so that is.
Yep.
Yeah. So that is the cause of your apparent appearance of duress.
Precisely.
Not quite.
Johanna has fallen to infernalism.
Would appear so.
And if she has, and much likely with the events of the sewer, my clan most likely knows about it already.
How is it that your clan came to know of the events in the sewer, if I may ask?
I had told Johanna that I would not let her go down there alone, that in case something happened, because I gave the idea of going down there, I gave it in front of all of you the first night I met you.
I do recall it.
I do recall it.
And we do know that it was a bad idea, but it was the only way forward, that in case something did happen, that she would not, nobody would know. It would not be known that something happened. So I had asked to have her followed by a spirit.
I see.
And as well, I used the same power that I did that day on the heath.
Sight beyond sight.
Indeed.
Hmm. So it would seem that you are questioning the worthiness of a alliance of sorts between our clan based on such events.
At the time being, correct.
I do believe it goes without saying that Clan Ventrue has no interest in infernalists or their type. And from here, oh, go ahead.
This is going to add, Aldrich says, nor does Clan Tremere.
I don't think anybody has room to allow infernalism within their domain. I think that can be clearly agreed upon.
I will, the next time that I encounter her, destroy her if need be, as is the duty of every Canite that threatens our existence with infernalism.
Made a great attempt to. Only sometime before this meeting, as it became apparent that that was the only course of action, I lit her on fire.
So you destroyed her?
Afraid not. Whatever infernal powers have their hold over her are powerful ones.
What he says is true. I don't
Regard-
know if it'll be as easily as cutting her down. It might take considerable effort.
If it does, it does. It is the duty of all Canites to ensure that the buds of infernalism are clipped from the bush.
Fitting.
Mm. And allow me also to say that while Clan Toreador has been a staunch ally of the Ventru and the Tremere, their position in the city is much weakened, and I would not count on their means of being able to apply force in certain situations. Whereas Clan Ventru is, as ever, as strong an ally as you could hope for. Therefore, if push came to shove, we would not mind distancing ourselves from the Roses.
That's good to know. There's a certain advantage to being malleable with this situation.
Nevertheless, it is obvious and apparent that the clan has little to bring to bear should the worst happen. Especially if there are rumors of infernalism. I know Margot had recent brushes with the accusation.
Yes, as the pieces begin to fall into place, it seems apparent that this has been going on for some time. It's the night of the outbreak of the plague. I was present with Margot and Johanna and our friends in Clan La Sombra. We encountered an imp. Appeared quite fond of Margot.
In that sense, I also do find our more dubious friends in Clan Toreador have a liking for Clan La Sombra, and though Clan La Sombra is a noble clan, no doubt, I do find myself suspicious of their motives, as they are ever involved in all of these mishaps.
It seems to be the case, though. I'm still learning the depths of their involvement in much of things in the city, though it appears that they seem to encompass and encroach on what the Cappadocians have and seem to show as far as the bearing of the city and who actually seems to run it. And I believe that's to our own fault there, but still, it's only a matter of time, like I said before, we get cut out and things realign.
They are opportunists, and should anything befall the prince, I have no doubt that the seneschal will take the reins. They have the most to gain, should anything occur. And it would seem that this conspiracy is reaching for a deeper purpose than simply dropping a plague upon the city.
That also brings me to my next concern. And I don't know if you know this. I don't believe you know this, Aldrich, because she spoke to me of it directly. But you've seen how powerful Irene is as a visionary, correct?
On multiple occasions, yes.
So then you know that when I say this, that I'm not simply speaking out my ass when I say it. But when I spoke to her privately, she had mentioned that the three individuals that been mm, assaulting the city, the tactician, the wishing woman, and this other, that Johanna slipped into the palace to do God knows what. But it seems to lead to the prince's downfall.
The vision shows you the prince's downfall, or showed her.
It showed Johanna entering the palace. At least that's what she said. And I don't believe she was lying. She was very much off her game when she told me. I saw the distress in her face.
Explain to me this vision in more detail. I'm curious. It involved the three conspirators.
Yes, it seemed like, man, so much happened last night. Sorry. Um, from what I can remember, and I can get back with you on this when I've when I have time to sort out my thoughts and repiece the night. But it seems as if these three individuals approach and confront the prince, and they go to war with their armies, the prince having his own undead armies in, typical fashion, but Johanna, a woman dressed in nun's robes, slips into the back and enters the palace. But that's where about the information ends. The vision ends, if I remember correctly.
Hmm. Do we have any idea as to if or when this vision will come to pass? Could this not just be the ravings of some poor child touched in the head by an otherworldly force that means to sow discord?
I don't think so. At first, I took it as it was, but as the night progressed and I seen just how powerful of a visionary Irene was, I started to add more levity to her words.
I see.
And this is speaking as somebody who is quite advanced in visions and seeing beyond himself.
That being you,
Exactly.
and you have had no vision of this sort.
No, not of the sort that she has seen.
So you believe that Johanna intends to do harm to the prince by means of this vision that Alessandra has told you?
I don't believe she intends to do it herself. I think it might be the work of something else, using her to do it.
A demon,
Maybe,
perhaps.
perhaps.
So then you are of the mind that this is some infernalist plot, that these three conspirators are aligned with the demonic forces.
It could be possible. I mean, to be honest with you, anything could be possible at this point. There's still much that goes left unanswered. But whatever is happening, whether this battle is happening, or not, something's going to happen soon, it seems.
And of it, I have very little doubt that Frere Johanna de Guimarães will survive.
It's a bold statement.
Well, as you said, Clan Toreador in recent nights have been quite implicated of infernalism, not to mention the image Johanna's gained over the night.
I see. Well then, it would seem that what do either of you know what became of Johanna after the altercation? Where is she?
She's fled.
We saw in the distance the fires had calmed over her domain.
I did think that I saw a glow from the city from a distance.
She would not be hard to find. That is simple enough. I know a ritual that could find her pretty easily. And truth be told, she does need to be apprehended one way or another for her own, I guess, sake. And like I said, I don't believe she would hinder or attack my prince, my elder, on her own volition.
She would not attack anyone present in that room of her own volition, and yet she has. Therefore, whatever it is controlling her. And therefore, it is, if you believe that this vision is a credible threat against the prince, then it would seem to be lining up with the way events have unfolded.
Indeed, I stand with the Merchant of Bones in his belief in this vision.
And then I propose to you, Merchant of Bones, that perhaps it would be in your clan's best interest to install me into Keeper. And once there, if I have access to the prince, then perhaps we all can convince him of the coming storm if this vision comes to pass and the evidence that is aligning itself against him.
If there is time, there is but one night, I'm afraid.
We must act quickly then. I will accompany you if that is what you desire.
And if you'll have me, I shall as well.
I believe we will need to gather up men.
I have men. I'm not sure they are what we need. Considering the threat that is arrayed before us.
Indeed.
The silence must be upheld.
Yes, I guess when I say men, I mean other Canaanites, perhaps.
You have my word when I say that I and the rest of Clan Ventru, as ambitious as we are, support the princedom of the Cappadocians in this city and want nothing to come to pass that would remove him from power or the clan.
Even if you would have to display this publicly?
I would announce it right now. Although I would, of course, have to consult my primogen.
Of course.
I do not think that throwing our lot for the city is controversial.
No. Well then, with your experience as keeper in the past and with your word on perhaps lending some aid and
And
maybe a little
even
bit.
if and even if the clan turns its back on you, trust that you will have my sword.
Hmm. Fair enough. Though, with a little bit goodwill, some goodwill that my clan can see, that is tangible, I believe I can easily put your name forward. I cannot guarantee that you'll be chosen, but I can muscle my influence to try and sway it in your direction.
What is this gesture of goodwill you require?
There is an issue with the salubri.
You don't say.
You don't say.
Apparently, they have some ties to the attack on our domain.
Would not surprise me. They have a habit of breaching domain.
And apparently, there is the head of a ghoul out in Riverside. If we can apprehend that, there are some things that we can do to see what's happened that night.
So you need this head found amid likely a disaster zone.
The proverbial needle in a haystack, yes.
Very well. I will send men to comb the area and find any loose heads and bring them before you or your associates to identify.
Hmm. And with the issue with Johanna, and if she is indeed fallen to infernalism, I believe that'll be enough. That'll be enough to stake my case. Ha, stake. To make my case.
Trust me when I say that if I come across her, I shall endeavor to destroy her.
And needless to say, that the Cappadocians and the Ventrue have had a long history of working together in and around Europe. This should not be something strange or foreign. So the things are already in place there.
The rest, as they say, is in your hands then.
I will do what I can. You can rest assured. Be rest assured on that.
You have only to send word, and I will come before the prince to attempt to help and assure him of the seriousness of the threats arrayed against him. Although I trust in his wisdom.
Hmm. I'll let you know if any such word is needed. Because until then, I think we have a lot to do with a little bit of time.
Then it is time I returned to Odessa.
How long have you been out?
Off and on for the past couple of months.
Hmm. I see you like to keep yourself away, separated. Are you sure that you want to be keeper again?
I have men to mind, but should my position change, that is easily adapted.
Fair enough. I think we can move forward with this. Much has been alleviated.
Gerard will offer a hand.
Yeah, he'll offer his hand as well.
Give one of them forearm grasps.
Mm-hmm.
I am certain that the Tremere will follow suit, but I cannot make such guarantees for them. It will have to come from them. And he looks at Aldrich.
Beware. We do not come without a price.
Well, I have no mind to think that you were some streetwalker.
Being associated with Clan Tremere, you are quite aware of our enemies, I assume?
I know you have an extreme dislike for the Salubri, yes. I do know that there was trouble with them in the past, especially when they showed up and started killing you and yours, until the prince put a stop to that and created a treaty to keep the peace, or a tentative one. There has been somewhat of a cold war between you two, your two clans.
Those days may be coming to an end. The horizon is much clouded.
But I believe the Tremere and the Cappadocians have much in common.
Very much agree. The powers of the blood that we both command together make us quite the fearsome force.
Indeed. And that should be an easy enough bond to create between both our clans, to capitalize on and to nurture, and to see what comes of it. As long as nothing else happens.
In the event that your clan were to decide that such a truce or alliance between the Tremere and the Cappadocians is not desirable, well, there will be no ill feelings, as we'll still be friends by proxy, shall we not? And he looks over at Gerard with a smile.
Gerard has a much more pensive look on his face, and he says, I have the distinct impression that should an alliance be off the table for the Tremere, it would extend to the Venture as well. Therefore, we will have to hope that the Cappadocians find this possible agreement to their benefit.
And that's where I will come in and try to make sure that they realize that.
Very well, then. I do believe that we have work to do. All of us.
Indeed. Aldrich, where shall be dropping you off?
I should wish to be returned to Friar Johannes. There are some...
Are you sure?
Yes, there are some belongings she had expressed when she was of a better mind that required delivery. And well, now, if there is no way to save her soul, I should at least carry out her final wishes.
You should be able to find me in Baldwin's Gift.
I'll keep that in mind. All right, then. Thank you for your hospitality, Gerard. It's been a pleasure speaking with you. And I look forward to these upcoming nights.
I feel the same, despite the dire tidings that surround them.
That's what helps forge strong bonds, huh? Such problems and working them out together. It'll lead to a stronger working relationship in the future, perhaps.
Or the ruination of us all.
Or the ruination. What comes, comes. Are you ready to be off, Aldrich?
I believe I shall. And he stands with his bottle half empty, and offers a polite bow to Gerard. A pleasure as always.
Gerard will give a dismissive gesture of his hand.
And yeah, he'll give a small bow too, and just turn and see himself out.
And with that, Gerard will remain at the table and ponder the position that he has been placed in and the future events of the city. And with that, we will end the scene. Thank you, players, for playing. I doubt any watchers are watching, but if they are, thank you. Good night and good luck.